All right, we are live on air. Oh my goodness, hang on a sec. I had to cough. Something jumped in my throat.
Oh no.
Mm, I've been spraying, and because I'm leaving, going out of town, right? So I'm trying to get all my stuff done. So I have to spray inside, outside. I'm in Florida. There's all kinds of bugs here. But anyway, hey Lisa. All right, so what we are doing here tonight is discussing spirit and using our abilities to use that discernment. Really, I don't know. How do you guys feel usually when you see something? And I mean something like a ghost. Sometimes other people ain't seen it. Sometimes they are. But what do you think? Why do you think that they are even like coming around you?
You mean like when you see them objectively, like with your eyes?
Oh, sense them, visually,
Oh,
and
okay.
however you see them,
However,
yes. I mean, like my niece, her boyfriend told me just today that he was standing in her apartment, and that I need to go clear of it because he thought that her daughter walked up behind him and kind of turned around and glanced, and there was an old man standing there just staring at him.
wow.
And then he kind of did a double take, and then the man was gone. So but that kind of I mean that kind of thing is happening a lot more where people are actually seeing with their naked eyes. And
Hmm.
I've actually had dreams that that was going to start happening. I mean,
Yeah, I have one here at my apartment, and I'm not the only one that sees it. And I'm glad I'm not, because it just stands in our hallway. It just looks at us. Looks like it's an older gentleman. He's really dark, and all he does is walk from our bedroom into the bathroom. That's all he does.
hmm
And then I think there might be like a little kid, because our son's toys will go off all throughout the night. Like I
well,
said, I could
sometimes,
turn them
yeah.
off. Turn them.
And sometimes that's not a little kid. Um, the biggest thing for me when we even start talking about spirit and ghost and all this stuff is really protection. And then after protection is the intention.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't walk around in my world, cut off from the spirit world. It's goes hand in hand all day long. I
Yeah.
mean, 24/7. So I live in my protection. I see myself protected. I call it my spiritual condom. I keep it on all the time, and it's my intention to assist as needed, right? And that can go for spirit or it can go for people, however it is. That's just my intention to always be, prepared. Kind of like a cow, the Boy Scouts. The motto is to always be prepared, and I'm always prepared. Because and it's not that I'm waiting, it's not that I'm expecting, but I know where I live, and I know my surrounding, and I know that no matter where I've been on this planet, that I encounter spirit. And so is it then so you're talking about protection, and so a lot of us here in the group tonight have actually been in my classes, so I know you guys know all about your protection. And so for all those that are listening, that don't know that much about protection, there's several different methods that you can use. It's however you feel more comfortable, but for me, my protection starts because I'm in touch with my energy system, my chakras. I have a relationship with my chakras that is just like a relationship I would have with a spouse, a partner, my child, whatever. It's an intimate relationship, and by that I mean that I communicate with them every day. I check them. I'm just like whenever I say shields up, I have a double layer of protection around me. Depending on what I'm doing, I will put double layers, triple layers of that protection. And it's all about seeing that energy, that we're connected to Mother Earth, we're connected to the Great Spirit. And that enables us actually to be empathetic, because we have to be able to feel this, energy around us. But then it allows us to be able to just to view it and then let it go, so that we don't own the people around us. We don't own their energy, whether they be physical or spirit. Because you can actually take on physical ailments and illnesses from those that have passed on. They can make you feel sick. They can Oh my God, I don't know if you guys have ever encountered when someone passes over, I've actually experienced their death. And my biggest one that I did was when I was channeling Jim Morrison. I actually felt the drugs take his body. And so I wanted to be able to experience that so I could describe it to the audience that I was channeling for. But at the same time, I didn't own it. I was able to get out of it real quick when I'm like, okay, it's time to move on. Excuse me, it's time to move on, um, and find out what information it was that was coming up next. But I felt his death, and so you can feel that with the spirit. But if it's your, again, your intention is to encounter and not own, then you can feel what they've experienced, try and relay what they're expressing, and not take it in. Don't own it. And the same thing when we're reading for people. It's like you don't own their illnesses. You don't take on everything that they're doing. It's 24/7 not acknowledgement that that's not mine. I need to be able to connect with it so that I can use discernment, use my ability to read it. But I'm not owning none of it, and I have no fear. Because when you have fear of any kind, it blows your intentions right out the window. It's like it doesn't matter what your intention is if you allow fear to come in. Again, it's really being strong in your convictions, with what it is that, you're doing. And again, purpose. We all want to talk about what our purpose is here. Well, and it's not that it's everybody's purpose to assist those that are here to move on, unless you're comfortable. You got to be completely comfortable with it. But that's the goal, is to get people comfortable and confident, that they can encounter spirit and physical people, and not own and not take on what it is that they're dealing with, to be able to have the intention of what you're doing. Know you're protected. No fear, no hesitation. So doing the chakra connecting is a really good way to get in touch with your energy system, to see the energy of protection that's around you. It is hard for you to not take on others' illness. I'm getting better at it. Oh, yeah. And yes, I have felt the feeling a spirit felt, his nervousness, as if he was recovering an alcoholic. Oh, yeah, definitely. It's uncomfortable. It's out of your box. It's not what you're feeling. It's not your stuff. That's why it's important, though, to keep that intention of what it is that you're doing. No fear, no hesitation. Seeing your protection around you. So back to the protection, again, you can do the chakras. Keep that chakra energy flowing and going. And then anytime I start doing energy work, what I call everything. I call everything I do energy work, because that's what I'm working with, is energy. It's all energy. Doesn't matter what kind or what form. Before I start doing any energy work, I don't do any kind of long meditation. I just do the check. I check to make sure that I'm connected, I'm grounded, I'm balanced, I'm protected. I'm flowing in the love of that divine. And I'm, here to perform whatever assistance is needed in the moment. Again, whether it's physical or spiritual. But then we have people who like to do the blue flame. They see the blue flame that's coming up around their feet, connecting them to Mother Earth in that energy, and then encompassing their body, taking that blue flame and connecting to the Great Spirit, and then just seeing themselves as that pillar of protection. And then also, again with the blue, and the blue is for several reasons, because it represents not just your convictions, your strength, your ability to speak what it is that you're seeing, but it's healing, it's comforting. So it keeps that energy of protection in that healing manner around you. So you can also do the blue blanket, where you wrap yourself up in that blue blanket, and just see that as your protection from head to toe. You're just wrapped up, and always, always, always seeing your connection with the Great Spirit and Mother Earth. They are like your, what they call a polarity. Gives you that ability to see that you're in that energy and that flow and that connection. It grounds you to the earth, and it balances you out to the Great Spirit's energy. And again, that's one of the biggest thing, is a faith belief. We're faith based, basically, right? I completely believe in God. I completely believe in my ability to connect to that higher source that is within me, to connect with spirit guides, angels. Whenever you're doing any kind of work, they're always there. You know, I don't even have to call on them anymore. I know that I know that I know that I know that they're always there whenever I'm doing anything. Anything, they're always there. Is there a time when they're not there? I don't know. Maybe in the shower, and they don't watch. They don't care. Uh, but that's about it, right? But even then, there's been some ghosts pop in when you're in the shower, you know. Uh, but uh, but those are ghosts, not your spirit guides, because they really don't want to do that. But anyway, you know, we have these entities that are with us all the time. Everything that we do, all of our endeavors, you know, any choice, any decision, we can always call on our higher self and our guides and our angels, and you know, ask them to help to come in. Mine in particular, I always call on is Jacob. Jacob has been my guide and partner in crime for partner in crime, partner in lifetimes, probably partner in crime in a few of those lifetimes. But but so I always call on Jacob. Jacob's always with me. He's even with me when I have to go into the hospital. You know, it's things for me, especially things for me. He's always there, you know, when it affects me. And that's the other thing, you know, it's like we, you know, walk into a group of people or we go into a group on Facebook and the same thing, even though you're not physically with those people, you can actually connect to them and, you know, pick up on this stuff and start reading them. I've had a few people who had some concerns because they felt people were intrusive. It's not you're intrusive, you're curious, you know, but you got to be aware that they can feel you. You know, so that interaction may not always be the best for them. So try not to do that. You know, always keep yourself protected and in the intention to assist as needed, but you don't have to go looking for anything. In fact, we never have to go looking for anything at all. We just have to have that faith and then allow spirit, you know, in our life to guide us and put us in the right place. Which takes me to the point that, you know, I love the group, the Free Psychic Ability group. You guys are amazing in there. Um, the conversation with the picture, and, you know, and them coming up with, you know, information that they were able to validate, you know, but then the concern came up, you know, well, why is this person from the 1940s still there? You know, why is this person who passed off over, you know, in a tragic natural disaster, if you will, a tornado that happened that came through, and lost her family, you know, and, you know, she was kind of stuck there now. And why do people get stuck, you know? So what are we dealing with when we're, you know, encountering these what I call lost souls? And why do I call them lost souls? Because I believe they're lost. They couldn't find their way home. There are distractions and things on this planet energetically that can prevent those that have crossed over, or rather those that have passed away, from crossing over. I believe that the reason that a lot of our energy remains so low here on this planet is because of all the ghost and the paranormal activity that we still have going on here. You know, we can't all mass consciously just wake up if mass consciously we're fear, you know, a fear base of those situations. Most people say, I don't want to know about ghosts. I don't want to talk about them. I don't want them coming to me. I don't want them trying to talk to me. I don't want them popping up in my car while I'm driving down the road. Because this has happened before, too, for me, depending on where I am. All kinds of thoughts and things can start happening. Yeah, it's crazy. You've always wondered about them always being there. Yeah. And then worry, I can't, or rather you didn't call for them, but they seem to be there. You know, and it's, again, for me, what I have seen in stories of connecting with those that I've encountered, is that they were stuck. They couldn't leave. And there's different reasons that they get stuck. Now, a lot of people want to say it's because they have unfinished business, right? No. They don't typically. I mean, like the movie Ghost. Who here saw the movie Ghost about 50 billion times? Love it, but at the same time, it's like that kind of situation. happens less than you would think. You know, I mean, because of that was like a special thing where he was murdered, right? I've actually had those that were murdered come back, but they had been able to move on. They didn't have to go through that process of trying to figure out who killed them. You know what I mean? Although they were helpful because they crossed on there. A spirit's actually more helpful to us if they can cross over and they come back and visit us. If they're stuck here and we're still connecting with them and exchanging conversation, I notice that the energy, the information is low energy. It's not the same kind of information that, say, someone who is edified in spirit would come back and talk about, right? I mean, like someone who says that they're channeling someone who just passed over. And the message is basically the same thing they said when they were alive. I don't believe it. I'm sorry, but I've talked to spirit crossed over. Their perceptions is totally different once they cross over. You know, it's like it's not the same dogma that they spoke about while they were alive. Okay? It's not. It's more edified. It's more gratifying and what's the word? Not the joyful. I mean, what's the word for joy? But it's like you're embracing it. You're not energetic, but why can't I think of the word? Help me out. But anyway, you know very little about spirits who actually, excuse me, I'm sorry. You know very little about spirits who have actually not crossed over. As far as I know, all that I have seen or experienced have passed over. Okay? And then if someone who has murdered and they did not cross over, would they be more helpful in solving the crime? No, they wouldn't be. You know, because again, they wouldn't know exactly how to communicate, and especially if they didn't see. You know, a lot of times when you talk to someone who's crossed over, they didn't see the person that murdered them. Then if I'm talking to them and they've not crossed over, they're still just as confused as what happened. You know, if they've crossed over, then they know. It's like I talked to Kurt Cobain. I channel Kurt Cobain, and you guys can go check out these shows too. I didn't just channel them for a closed audience. I channeled them on air on Blog Talk Radio, and I talked to Kurt Cobain, and he knew who killed him. Okay, but no, everybody else is around is speculation, but he was able to say who killed him, and so he crossed over. He's not stuck here. Again, seeing different spirits go through their process when they cross over. So if they don't get to do that process, then they get stuck here. And a lot of times they're stuck here for reasons that are energetic as well. You might find if you're talking to someone who has crossed over, they're going to let you know about the energy play that's going on around them and about the low energies that they are afraid of. They express fear, they express, trauma still, right? Would he say, or did he? What? How do they get unstuck? Good question. Because it takes quite a while. I mean, I've dealt with spirits that have literally been on this planet in that passed over state for thousands of years. And so the unstuck version for me is to help them. Help them get unstuck. And again, sometimes when you're helping someone get unstuck, you're going to encounter other energies around them. And you can't be afraid of them. You have to have, again, no fear. And so, when dealing with any kind of energy and dealing with anything on this planet, really, you have to approach it with no fear. It's like people tell me all the time they can't believe that, the stuff that I do, because it would just scare the shit out of them, because I'm considered to be a demonologist. And why am I considered to be a demonologist? Because I've been talking to dead people since I was a little girl, and behind those dead people that, talked about being stuck here, there was typically what we want to call a demon behind it. a demon that was keeping them here. You'll see that on a lot of the, well, even though a lot of the TV shows are scripted, there's a lot of truth in them because they talk about, you know, the different variety of demons, different variety of low energies. And again, I don't even like to label them demons or devils or, you know, no, they're just low energies. You know, for me, the vibration is just lower than, say, an entity that's crossed over, and you know what I mean. Their energy, the vibration signature is just very low. So, but labeled for I guess commercial sake, labeled a demonologist. And so when I, you know, not every case, but I have had those cases where I have gone to a property, let's say. Matter of fact, let me tell you about this one I did for someone. So when I met through Blog Talk Radio, she did a radio show over there. She was actually having a lot of poltergeist activity on her property. And it wasn't just a house and a farm. It was, you know, it's quite a substantial piece of property, like 250 acres. And so, you know, they had their housing on one part of it, of course, and then it was, you know, just open mountainous land and stuff. So anyway, I'm helping her, and so I, you know, again, I'm on the air with her. She's called into the Blog Talk show, and I go to her house. I'm able to describe the land to her, where the house is, and this, you know, huge area of just open land. It's like a pasture, right? Is what I guess that would be called, but no trees on it, right? Just open land, great for cows and horses, but this is where I felt a huge portal. And so I was able to go and, you know, and trust me, I had to go and work with the spirits that were, you know, coming out of that portal, work with the spirits that were in the house and the barn. And then it took me a good 15, 20 minutes to actually close that portal. And so that nothing else could come through. Because there's portals all over this planet also. Portals and vortexes that entities can come through. So these are the things that you might encounter. So while I encountered this on that property, I definitely saw a bunch of low energy. But let me tell you the most amazing part about this clearing and about this woman who I've never met. I only met her again through Blog Talk Radio. I did a show for like 8 years on Blog Talk. And so I met her through Blog Talk Radio. So I never physically met her, but became good, you know, friends talking. So anyway, after I did the clearing, and of course, you know, she was able to sell the house and is moving. She let me know, though, that it was first deeded to Daniel Boone. And why is this interesting to me? Because in my lineage, I am related to Daniel Boone. He's great, right? And so not only was I able to help this woman and her family, you know, clear so that they could sell the property. I've helped several people sell properties, you know, because I did a clearing to remove whatever energy, low energy was there. But I found out that I was actually able to clear lineage of my own, you know, in my own family history, because that was, you know, who knows what that portal did to my family. And, you know, I mean, let's face it, you know, it didn't, you know, have the greatest generational stuff happening. But anyway, so you understand, though, when you're talking about clearing and assisting entities to move on and clearing portals and things, it's like, you know, these are the things we can't even be afraid of. You know, I go in, I have no fear. I just go in. It doesn't matter what comes in my face. It doesn't matter who tries to, you know. I even have had, you know, scheduled clearings because I'm a paranormal investigator also, and I go do clearing in houses, and I even do it, you know, what I call astral clearing, because I can clear any home from my home, and no matter where it's at in the United States or beyond. But anyway, so I'm getting ready for a really big clearing that